Avine Church, I'm joined here with Alice Taylor. In 2015, Alice started a website, The Grey Spot, which includes lots of resources for women struggling with pornography. There's personal stories, there's blogs, there's step-by-step guides to help begin the journey of recovery. And last year she wrote this book, Restored, a women's guide to overcoming pornography. Alice, it's so great to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, so what prompted you to write this book last year?
Yeah, so 1 in 3 visitors to adult websites are women. 17% of all women consider themselves addicted to pornography. And I have my own personal story of struggling with porn from the age of just 12 years old. So women are using porn, they're struggling with porn, but no one is really talking about it. When a woman looks for help for a porn problem, say she Googles porn help and women, porn addiction and women, she's going to find a tsunami of masculine resources, male pronouns everywhere. There's really barely anything specifically out there for women who are seeking recovery. And it's great that there are men's resources, guys need that, that's really cool. But when a woman just sees that there's nothing for her, it brings this deep sense of shame. And she feels like she's alone, that there's no help and no hope for her. And it really is a devastating feeling. And after feeling that myself, I realized that somebody had to do something. Somebody had to say something and give a voice to women. So I thought, well, why not me? So I used my experience through struggling with porn, my experience in recovery, and I did a lot of research, and last year I finally wrote Restored so that another woman doesn't have to go through that shame of looking for help and just finding only resources for men.
How do women face the issue of pornography different for men? What is different about women experiencing this as opposed to men?
I think the main thing, the really obvious thing, is that shame. I know that men also deal with shame, and that is very real. But women just have this next level, this societal, spiritual, and internal shame that just destroys them. Because no one's talking about women in porn, it's often sold as a guy's issue. When you hear a talk often at a church or, anywhere in the world, it's directed at the men, and women are often given the modesty talk instead. And the shame from that is just devastating. They feel alone, and that's why women keep this secret. And that's why it can become so powerful and such an incredible problem for women, and really escalate very quickly because they feel like there's no support for them. So the main issue they struggle with that is very particular to them is shame. When it comes to the struggle, there's not always a black and white kind of comparison between men and women. There's not, men aren't always 100% this way, women are 100% that way. There is overlap. But generally, I found that for a lot of men, their porn use and their habitual struggle is very much physical, very much triggered by visual kind of struggles. But for women, generally, they are also attracted to porn because they have sex drives, and women are visual too. But the hook, the thing that triggers them and keeps them coming back again and again and again, usually has to do with intimacy. They're desperately searching that connection to feel wanted, loved, validated. And this usually stems from a deep relational rupture at some point in their life. I call it an intimacy disorder. And they're just so desperately searching for that intimacy, and they're seeking it in the fantasy of porn. So, men are also emotional creatures. Women are also visual creatures. Generally, women really present with that intimacy pain that it goes really deep.
So Alice, what's your advice to women? And I guess this was going to be relevant to men as well. What's your advice to men and women who are struggling?
Yeah. Well, I first just want to say, if you are a man or a woman struggling with porn, You are not alone. You are absolutely not alone, and there is real genuine hope that you can overcome this struggle. There is healing for you. So I just really wanted to clarify that first. You're not alone. If you are currently struggling, particularly if you're a woman, I would recommend that you have a look at my website, that you do read my book, because we're limited on time today, and recovery is a long and often complicated process. So I can't give you all the answers right now, but the resources I've created, they do have a long-term framework that you can keep coming back to, with the complexities of recovery and life. And I think that, and I hope that can be a really helpful tool for you if you are currently struggling. But for now, I think I can boil it down to 3 really important steps that you can do. These are steps that you can take this week, and they're incredibly healing and incredibly powerful. So these 3 steps are, firstly, to tell someone. As scary as this feels, it's the thing that's going to move you forward. You need to bring this secret into the light where truth can be spoken over it, and where you can receive love and forgiveness and kindness and empathy. So you need to tell someone safe and someone loving, but don't just tell them once and stop. You need to continue telling them. Continue telling them how you're going. So this is accountability. You've got to find someone who you can, meet up with once a week. This is at the very basic level, and get them to ask you the hard questions. Have you looked at porn? What's going on for you? And also someone who can celebrate the victories. It's not just about doom and gloom, but you need to tell someone, and you need to keep on telling someone. The second thing you need to do is to ask why. Why porn? Why do I feel like I need to keep escaping reality? Why do I keep compulsively seeking this image of connection? This is about understanding the stress and pain that's going on inside of you. For women who are struggling with intimacy disorders, this is absolutely vital work, because porn is not just about the behavior. The porn use is often a symptom of something deeper that's going on within you. So I encourage you to do self-reflection, journaling, prayer, talk about this with your accountability partner, with your friends. But also, along with this, I encourage you to get professional support. Most people really, really benefit from seeing a professional counselor or a therapist who are actually qualified to dig deep with you and protect you on that journey. Often we expect our church leaders, our friends, our partners to help us deal with this stuff, but they're usually not qualified. And it is much better to seek out that professional help. And I know that the Vine Church website has a list of counsellors and therapists in the area who are come recommended. So that's a really good place to start. And lastly, it's about reconnecting into community. Because I know we're in ISO now, but even before this, a lot of people struggling with porn have been in isolation, emotionally and physically and spiritually. They've cut themselves off because of shame. And if that's you, you need to reconnect again, because healing from porn and overcoming it, it's not just about restriction. It's not just about not looking at porn and using your willpower. It's about adding to your life. It's about experiencing connection and joy and creating a life that you don't want to escape from, basically. So you need to connect with God, with community, with friends, and really maybe step out of your comfort zone and reconnect, because that's a healing thing that you can do. So those 3 things: tell someone and keep telling them, ask yourself why, and reconnect with community.
So Alice, that's part of your story. You told someone, a lady much older than you at church. Can you share that experience?
Yeah, totally. So I was in church one Sunday. I'd been struggling with porn for a few years, and I was just sick of having this mask on. I was the good Christian girl at church. I was working in a church. I was doing children's ministry. I was studying at Bible college. But on the inside, I was this woman struggling with porn and feeling so ashamed and really dirty and disgusting and unforgivable. So I'd been holding this tension inside of me for a long time. And the pastor started talking about shame and recurring sin and the fact that there is actually hope. And I was just so overwhelmed in that moment. It just broke me. I was standing up at that point we were singing, and I was reflecting on what he was saying, and I just like fell on the ground and cried. It just totally broke me. And at that point, the sermon was starting to wrap up. It was ending, and an older woman who I'd never met before in this church of like 500 people, she came up to me and gave me a big hug and started praying for me, and eventually asked me after I stopped ugly crying, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Like, what do you need to talk about? And for the first time in my life, I told someone about my struggle, and it was the most relieving and liberating thing to just get it off my chest. I was just done with keeping it in. And the incredible thing was, she responded by saying, me too. You know, I used to struggle with promiscuity, and I used to struggle with porn and masturbation, and I still have issues going on, but I'm getting there. And it was the most incredible moment because I realized I wasn't alone for the first time ever.
Yeah. You called your blog, your website, the Grace Spot, which I love. What is it about knowing the grace of God that helps with pornography?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, knowing God's grace doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't make it easy. It doesn't mean that you're not going to relapse. And it doesn't mean that just because you know God and his grace that he's going to click his fingers and take it away. There's still a journey ahead for most people. But it does mean that you know unconditional love in your darkest moments. When you feel alone and too far gone, unforgivable, irredeemable, there is an outside source saying that is a lie. You are loved, you are worthy, and there is redemption for you. And that is such a powerful thing. You know, God's grace means there's no reason to hate yourself, to hurt yourself, or just to hate yourself when you make mistakes and when you're not perfect, because that's what his grace is all about. And it really is such a powerful thing when you genuinely feel so alone, which is what so many women really feel when they're struggling with porn.
I remember Jerry Bridges saying that our best days as Christians are never so good as to be without the need of God's grace, but our worst days are never so bad as to be beyond the reach of God's grace. And I think, pornography addiction feeds on that feeling of shame.
Absolutely.
And the gospel actually liberates us from that and reminds us we're God's children, we're washed, cleansed. So, hey, so thankful for you to join us today. You're going to be part of the question time a little bit later in the service, but thanks so much for your courage in speaking about this topic, Alice, and coming to our church today to share your thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my absolute pleasure. I love talking about this.
Cool. So check out our website, The Grace Spot. Check out this book, Restored. God bless you.